I'm Diane Ferguson from Honeybee Quilt Store, and we're going to go over what you can expect when you come up and rent one of our machines that is equipped with a Pro Stitcher. I'm going to be using Minky as my backing today. With Minky, you want to load it, if possible, with the selvage edges on the side, because that's the side that's less stretchy. So we load using red snappers. So we're using corsage pins, which are real strong and they aren't going to bend. And I'm just putting it through the rod that comes, that I have running through my leader with the red snappers. And then I'll go and grab a red snapper. And then that fits right over, and you just snap the channel around the rod. And then we'll pull the pins out.
Drop.
I'll grab another piece. We're going to roll our backing, and I keep making sure that what's coming onto the roll is nice and straight. Especially with Minky, it wants to pull in on itself, so you want to keep it, the edges all nice and straight.
And then trim those over here and trim this here. At the bottom. Plus, you're going to have to take over there to
Okay,
do the same thing.
so now we're going to do the other side. We're going to go right in the middle and pin again onto the rod.
Stop it.
And then I go to the left and I go to the right.
And then you trim again. Okay,
So
and
once
then
you
pull it
have
off
your
again.
pins on every couple of feet, then you're going to put your second set of red snappers on.
It should be safe to hold on to those and let it go.
Okay, and then I'm going to pull my pins out,
Hold on.
hold them up, they get all bent.
Those three little pins.
And that's how easy it is to load your back. The next thing we're going to do is load up our batting. And we have a hammock underneath our machine to put the batting in so it doesn't pick up any threads or dust bunnies that might be on the floor. And then we're just going to lay that up. And then we're going to get our top. So now we're going to load our top. And we're going to put it under the bar. And I come up pretty close, but you don't want your glide foot to hit your red snapper. So we're going to smooth everything out, and then I'm going to drop the bar. So when I'm loading the top, I want to go pretty close to the red snappers, but not right up next to it, because I have a glide foot on the machine and I don't want it to bump into the plastic of the snappers. Next, we're going to drop the poles, and we're going to put on our clamps. And I'm going to do that on each side. And if the clamp is too short, we just pop up the bungee cord. And that is how we load your quilt and get ready to go. The next thing we're going to do is to base the quilt down to the backing. I'm going to swap out some thread, and we'll do that in just a sec. So we will always leave a portion of thread on the machine, and when you take the color that you're going to use on, you're going to tie a little knot and just hang it down here, and then we'll walk around to the front and pull. We'll walk around to the front and then just pull that thread through. And if it's a good day, your knot goes through the eye of the needle. And we're going to load up our bobbin, and then we're going to be ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is check the tension of our bobbin. And so I want to be able to pull my bobbin case up in my hand, but I don't want it to rise out of my hand. So I've got good tension on my bobbin. I've already oiled my machine, And we're going to pop that bobbin in there and you'll hear a little click. And we're ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is baste the top. There's a little silver bar at the top of the machine. And then I'm going to hit HQ. So the first thing we're going to do is touch the pro stitcher across the top is called tabs. This is called your ribbon. So we're going to touch the pro stitcher tab and we're going to touch baste. So this is your on and off button. And I'm going to baste across the top of my quilt, just pulling up a little bit. Don't worry too much about what's going on the bottom because we'll straighten that out in just a sec. Okay, and so now I'm going to pop up this bar again. Turn off my basting and I flip my quilt up and I kind of poof my batting down to make sure I don't have any wrinkles. I'm going to do the same thing with my quilt. And I'm going to tuck it all in this wonderful hammock. And then I'm going to baste down my edges. And I baste down both sides. And needle that needle down to bring up my bobbin thread so we don't get any nests on the back. And I'm pulling the fabric taut, but you never want to tug it down. You don't want to distort your quilt and end up with a ruffly edge. Okay, so we're going to turn our basting stitch back off. Very important to remember that. And we're going to define our area. So I'm going to go up to the tabs and I'm going to touch area and then I'm going to touch to corner and it'll bing at you to make a noise and you see the little pink box. And now we're going to drive the machine over to the edge on the other side and I'm going to hit to corner again. So that makes a little box and then I can enter the height of my quilt and I usually add an inch or two and I can go back and crop it if I need to. So that's the representation of the quilt that I have on the machine and I will add my design to it. I'll hit the file on the tabs. I'm going to hit design, open. So I touch the design and then I press open and that's the pattern I'm going to use. And to get it to populate, we're going to hit fill, point to point. It's going to gather them together and then we're going to hit stretch to stretch it from side to side, then vertical stretch. And then we're going to adjust the sizing. So that's probably a little bigger than I want it. So I'm going to add a couple rows and then I'm going to add a couple rows horizontally to get my perspective back. We're going to baseline and then we're going to save it. So now we're good to go and I'm going to come over where to the edge, pro stitcher, run. And then we'll hit resume.